The blood on his knuckles wasn't his. Kang Jae-won, born Kang Jae-won in Seoul, reborn in Chicago's underworld, stared at the crimson drops falling onto concrete and felt nothing. He'd stopped feeling things years ago, safer that way. "Boss, we need to move." His right hand, Marcus, appeared at his shoulder. "Police will be here in 4 minutes." Jae-won straightened his cufflinks. Italian silk, custom made, currently speckled with evidence of the conversation he'd just had with a man who'd thought skimming from the Kang family was survivable. It wasn't. "Clean this up," he said, his voice carrying the kind of quiet authority that made grown men flinch. "I want no trace by sunrise." Already handled. That's why Marcus had survived 10 years at his side. Efficiency, loyalty, the intelligence to never ask questions. Jae-won slid into the back of his Maybach, and the door closed with the whisper-soft click of German engineering. His driver knew better than to speak. The privacy partition was already up. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. Probably his grandmother again, calling from the family compound with the same conversation they'd been having for 3 years. "Jae-won, you need a wife. The family needs heirs. You need stability." Stability. As if marriage to some socialite chosen by the elders would stabilize anything about the empire he'd carved from his father's ashes. The phone buzzed again. Then again. He picked it up, jaw tight. "Halmione." "Don't grandmother me in that tone." Her voice was steel wrapped in silk, still sharp at 78. "I'm dying." His chest constricted. "What?" "Oh, now you listen." She sighed. "I'm not dying yet, but I'm old, Jae-won, and I want to see you settled before I go. I want to know the Kang line continues." "We've discussed this, and you've dismissed it. Every match I've proposed, every introduction I've arranged. 27 women, Jae-won. You've rejected them all. Because I don't need one more." Her voice dropped, taking on the tone that meant she'd already made a decision. "I've arranged one final match. If you reject her, I'll never ask again." Jae-won's eyes narrowed. His grandmother never surrendered. This was a trap. "Who?" "You'll meet her Saturday, 7 o'clock, my house. Wear something that doesn't make you look like a gangster." "I am a gangster." "You're the head of the Kang family. There's a difference." A pause. "Her name is Amara Bennett, American, black, not from our world, which is exactly why she might be what you need. American, black, not Korean, not from the families. His grandmother was either brilliant or senile." "Halmione. One dinner, Jae-won, 2 hours of your immortal life. If you can't give your dying grandmother that, then I've raised a man with no honor." The guilt trip was masterful. He closed his eyes. "Saturday, 7 o'clock. Wear the navy suit. You look less terrifying in navy." She hung up before he could argue. Jae-won stared at his phone, then at his bloody knuckles, then at the Chicago skyline sliding past the window. He'd built an empire on fear and calculated violence. He'd eliminated every threat, consolidated every territory, commanded respect through carefully orchestrated ruthlessness, and his 78-year-old grandmother had just boxed him into a corner with nothing but maternal manipulation. He almost smiled. Almost. 3 days earlier. "Amara, order up!" Amara Bennett caught the ticket Mrs. Chen slid across the pass-through and scanned it with practiced efficiency. "Table 6, bibimbap, extra gochujang, no egg, seafood pancake, 2 orders of dumplings." "Got it, Mrs. Chen." She loaded her arms with the precision of someone who'd been waitressing since high school, balancing weight and heat and the peculiar physics of not dropping food on customers who tipped based on competence. Mama Chen's Korean kitchen wasn't fancy. The linoleum was cracked, the tables were mismatched, and the bathroom door stuck in humid weather. But the food was incredible. The regulars were loyal, and Mrs. Chen treated her staff like family, which meant Amara had been subjected to 2 years of maternal concern about her single status. "You're too pretty to be alone," Mrs. Chen called as Amara delivered the plates. "My nephew, very handsome, good job." "Mrs. Chen, your nephew is 19 and still lives in his mom's basement." "He's finding himself." Amara laughed, the sound genuine. She'd learned early that survival meant finding joy in small moments, and Mrs. Chen's matchmaking attempts were nothing if not entertaining. Her phone buzzed in her apron. She ignored it. Probably Keisha again. Her best friend had been on a mission lately, Operation Get Amara back out there, as if Amara's love life was a military campaign requiring tactical intervention. The lunch rush hit like a wave. Amara moved through it with the fluid grace of someone who'd worked service industry jobs since she was 16. Smile, take orders, deliver food, refill drinks, clear tables, repeat. She was good at this, not because she dreamed of being a waitress, but because she dreamed of being a journalist, and journalism didn't pay the bills while you were trying to break in. So she waitressed at Mama Chen's during the day, cleaned hotel conference rooms at night, and wrote whenever she could steal an hour. Her blog, Voices of the City, had a modest following. People who appreciated her deep dives into Chicago's hidden communities, the immigrant stories and neighborhood histories that mainstream media overlooked. Someday it would be enough. Someday she'd write for a real publication, with a real salary, and she wouldn't have to choose between paying rent and paying for internet. Someday. Amara. Mrs. Chen's voice had an edge that made her look up. Can you cover the register? I need to make a call. Sure. She moved behind the counter, wiping down menus and restocking napkins. The bell above the door chimed. 4 men entered. The restaurant went quiet. It wasn't dramatic, not like in movies, just a subtle shift in energy, the way a room changes when predators walk in and everyone's hindbrain recognizes danger. They wore expensive suits, the kind Amara had only seen in magazines, tailored perfectly, probably custom, the kind of clothes that said money in a language everyone understood. But it was the man in the center who made her breath catch. Tall, sharp-featured, black hair styled with careless perfection, and eyes, dark, assessing eyes that swept the room like he was calculating exits and threats before he'd even fully entered. Korean, she thought, and dangerous. Not dangerous like her ex, who'd been all bluster and empty threats. Dangerous like still water that ran deep enough to drown in. He looked at her. For exactly 3 seconds, their eyes locked, and Amara felt something shift in her chest. Recognition, maybe, or warning. Then one of his companions said something in Korean, and the moment broke. Welcome to Mama Chen's, Amara said, her customer service smile firmly in place. Sit anywhere you'd like. They moved to the corner booth, the one with sight lines to both doors. Mrs. Chen returned from her call, took one look at the corner booth, and went pale. Amara, she whispered. I'll take that table. It's fine, Mrs. Chen. I've got it. Amara. But she was already walking over, notepad in hand, professional armor in place. Up close, he was even more striking. Severe bone structure, a small scar through his left eyebrow, and when he looked up at her, those dark eyes were absolutely unreadable. Good afternoon. What can I get you gentlemen today? 3 of them studied menus. He studied her. Do you have recommendations? His voice was smooth, accent barely detectable. Educated. American-raised, maybe, or just exceptionally fluent. The bulgogi is our signature dish. Mrs. Chen uses her grandmother's recipe. The kimchi jjigae is excellent if you want something warming. You know Korean food? Not a question. I know good food. I've worked here long enough to try everything twice. Something flickered in his expression. Amusement? Interest? We'll have 4 orders of bulgogi and tea. Green or barley? Green. She wrote it down, acutely aware that he was still watching her, not leering. This wasn't that kind of attention. More like he was cataloging details, filing her away in whatever system he used to process the world. I'll have that right out. She turned to go. What's your name? She looked back. His 3 companions had gone very still, like they recognized something significant in the question. Amara. He repeated it, testing the weight of it. Amara Bennett? Her spine stiffened. How do you know my last name? I make it a point to know things. He gestured slightly. Your name tag says Amara. The schedule posted by the kitchen says Bennett. Observation, not surveillance. Fair enough. Still unsettling. And you are? Kang Jae-won. The name meant nothing to her, but Mrs. Chen's earlier reaction suggested it should. Well, Mr. Kang, I'll get your order started. In the kitchen, Mrs. Chen grabbed her arm. That's Kang Jae-won. You said that like it should mean something. He's... Mrs. Chen lowered her voice. He's dangerous, Amara. The Kang family controls half of Chicago's... She cut herself off. Just be polite. Don't ask questions. Don't get involved. Amara had grown up in Atlanta neighborhoods where you learn to read situations fast. She recognized the signs: Mrs. Chen's fear, the way other customers weren't looking at the corner booth, the expensive suits and strategic seating, organized crime. Had to be. She delivered their food with professional efficiency, didn't linger, didn't make small talk, just smiled, served, and kept moving. But every time she crossed the dining room, she felt his eyes tracking her. Not predatory, just aware. When they finished and approached the register, Kang Jae-won laid several $100 bills on the counter. The food was excellent. Keep the change. Amara looked at the money. It was at least 4 times their bill. Sir, that's too much. Consider it appreciation for the recommendation. He held her gaze. Good instincts are rare. Before she could respond, he was gone. The bell chimed. The restaurant seemed to exhale collectively. Mrs. Chen appeared at her elbow. Amara, whatever you're thinking, stop. I'm not thinking anything. Good. Men like that, they're not for girls like you. They live in a different world, and that world has sharp edges. Amara stared at the money on the counter, then at the door. Different world, she thought. Story of my life. Her phone buzzed again. This time she checked it. Keisha. Date confirmed. Saturday, 7 p.m. His grandmother insists you come to their house. Fancy. His name is Kang Jae-won. My cousin works for the family and says he's successful but needs someone real in his life. You're going. No arguments. Wear something nice. Address attached. Amara read the message 3 times. Then she looked at the door again. No, she thought. No way. Chicago is huge. Millions of people. What are the odds? But she'd grown up believing things happened for a reason. Her mother had taught her that much, and she'd learned that the universe had a sense of humor about these things. She pulled up the address Keisha had sent. Then she Googled Kang Jae-won Chicago. The results made her stomach drop. Kang family. Korean-American business empire. Suspected ties to organized crime. Kang Jae-won, current head of family, took over at age 25 after his father's death, known for ruthless business practices and... She stopped reading. Oh, hell, she whispered. Saturday arrived like a sentencing. Amara stood in front of her bathroom mirror, really just a medicine cabinet with a reflection, and told herself this was fine. Everything was fine. She was just having dinner with a man who probably had people killed for a living. Totally normal Saturday night. The burgundy wrap dress had been a splurge 6 months ago, bought for a job interview at the Tribune that never panned out. The editor had loved her portfolio, but didn't have budget for new hires. Story of her life. Almost there, not quite. But the dress still fit perfectly, hugging her curves in a way that made her feel powerful instead of exposed. She'd twisted her natural hair into an elegant updo that showed off her neck and the small gold hoops her grandmother had given her for her 21st birthday. Her phone buzzed on the sink. Keisha. You better not be chickening out. I'll come over there and drag you to that dinner myself. Amara. I'm going. Against my better judgment, but I'm going. Keisha. Good. And remember, his grandmother specifically requested you. That means something. Amara. It means she doesn't know her grandson is a criminal. Keisha. Alleged criminal. Innocent until proven guilty and all that. Amara. You don't believe that any more than I do. Keisha. No, but he's hot and rich, and his grandmother thinks you're special. Plus, you haven't been on a date since Marcus the Mistake. So you're going. Text me when you get there. Love you. Amara stared at her reflection. She looked good. Better than good. She looked like someone who belonged at fancy dinners and family compounds. She looked like a lie. Because underneath the dress and makeup, she was still Amara Bennett from Atlanta, the girl who'd moved to Chicago with $800 and a dream that was taking a lot longer to materialize than she'd expected. But she'd learned early that you didn't survive by being fragile. You survived by being smart, adaptable, and brave enough to walk into situations that scared you, even if those situations involved Korean Mafia bosses and arranged marriages. Her phone buzzed again. Different number. Unknown. A car will arrive at 6:30. No need to respond. JW. Her stomach did something complicated. He'd texted her, which meant he had her number, which meant he'd looked into her beyond just her name. The The thought should have creeped her out. Instead, it sent heat through her chest. She grabbed her clutch, the new one she'd bought specifically because her old one didn't match, and headed downstairs at exactly 6:28. The car was already waiting. Not a rideshare, an actual Blacktown car with a driver in a suit who opened the back door with professional courtesy. "Ms. Bennett, Mr. Kang sends his regards." She slid into the leather interior, and the door closed with the kind of solid click that said, "expensive." The driver pulled smoothly into traffic, and Amara watched Chicago slide past the tinted windows. Her neighborhood, cheap rent, loud. Neighbors, questionable plumbing, gave way to nicer areas, then to wealthy areas, then to the kind of neighborhood where houses had gates and security cameras and probably panic rooms. 25 minutes later, they turned onto a private drive. The Kang family compound wasn't a house. It was an estate. Traditional Korean architecture blended with modern elements, curved roof lines and clean lines, stone and glass, gardens that probably required a full-time staff. Amara's stomach nodded. This wasn't her world. This was old money and family legacy, and the kind of wealth that bought silence and loyalty in equal measure. The car stopped in front of the main entrance. The driver opened her door. "Mr. Kang will meet you in the garden room. Through the main entrance, turn left, follow the corridor. You can't miss it." "Thank you." She stepped out, and the gravel crunched under her heels. Practical heels, not fancy ones, because she'd learned that practicality mattered more than fashion when you might need to run. The thought made her smile grimly. The main entrance was all dark wood and stone, with traditional Korean art on the walls and the faint scent of incense. Everything whispered history, legacy, tradition. She followed the corridor and found the garden room. It was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a traditional Korean garden with a koi pond and carefully manicured trees. Inside, low tables were surrounded by cushions, and soft lighting created an intimate atmosphere. And standing by the window, hands in his pockets, was Kang Jae-won. He wore a navy suit, perfectly tailored, no tie, white shirt open at the collar. His hair was styled with casual precision, and when he turned at the sound of her footsteps, his expression went through a fascinating transformation. Surprise, recognition, heat. "Amara Bennett." His voice was low, controlled. "This is unexpected." "You knew my name 3 days ago in the restaurant. Don't pretend you didn't know we were matched." A smile ghosted across his mouth. "I knew. I didn't expect you to actually show up." "Your grandmother can be very persuasive, according to my best friend's cousin. She's had 78 years to perfect the art of manipulation." He gestured to the low table. "Please, sit." Amara moved to the cushions, grateful she'd worn a wrap dress that allowed her to sit gracefully on the floor. He settled across from her with the economical movements of someone comfortable in his own body. Up close, she could see details she'd missed in the restaurant. The scar through his eyebrow, the strong line of his jaw, the way his dark eyes tracked every movement with predatory focus. And tattoos. She'd glimpsed them at his wrists, disappearing under his shirt cuffs. Intricate designs that spoke of tradition and rebellion in equal measure. "So," she said, refusing to be intimidated, "your grandmother arranged this. Against my explicit instructions to stop meddling in my personal life. And yet, here you are." "Here I am." His gaze held hers. "She's dying, or claims to be. I haven't determined which yet." "That's cold." "She's manipulative. There's a difference." He poured tea into 2 cups with practiced precision. "But to answer your unasked question, yes, she wants to see me married. And yes, she's apparently decided you're the one." "Why me?" "I asked her that. She said, and I quote, because she's not from our world, and that's exactly what you need." He pushed a cup toward her. "She's not wrong." Amara took the tea, inhaling the delicate scent. "You need someone not from your world. I need someone who sees me as a person instead of a commodity, who doesn't want something from me beyond who I am." His eyes were dark, intense. "Everyone in my world wants something. Power, money, protection, connection. You're the first person in years who looked at me in that restaurant and just saw a customer. I saw more than that. You saw danger, and you still served me with professionalism and warmth. You didn't flinch, didn't flirt, didn't calculate what I could do for you." He leaned forward slightly. "Do you know how rare that is?" Heat crept up her neck. "I waitress for a living. I see all kinds of people. And you're a journalist, or trying to be." At her surprised expression, he smiled. "I told you, I make it a point to know things, voices of the city, excellent writing. You have a gift for finding stories others overlook. You read my blog. Every post for the last 2 years." He sipped his tea. "You write about community, about people trying to build lives in difficult circumstances. You see value where others see problems. That's rare and valuable." Amara's heart was doing complicated things in her chest. "You investigated me. Thoroughly. Criminal record, clean. Credit score, decent considering student loans. Work history, consistent. References from Mrs. Chen and your hotel supervisor, glowing. Family in Atlanta. Mother, 2 brothers, extended family. You send money home twice a month." He set down his cup. "You're exactly what you appear to be. Honest, hardworking, kind, ambitious, but not ruthless." She should have been angry, should have felt violated. Instead, she found herself respecting his thoroughness. "And you're Kang Jae-won, head of the Kang family at 25 after your father was killed. Built an empire on, let me guess, import-export with some creative interpretations of legality." His eyebrow lifted. "You investigated me too. Google. It's not as thorough as whatever you used, but it's free." He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound transformed his face from severe to devastating. "I like you, Amara Bennett. You don't know me. I know enough, and I want to know more." He leaned back, studying her. "Here's the truth. My grandmother arranged this because she wants me settled. I agreed because I'm tired of disappointing her. But I don't do relationships. I don't do vulnerability. My world doesn't allow for weaknesses, and caring about someone is the biggest weakness there is. So why am I here? Because despite every logical reason not to, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since Wednesday. The way you smiled at customers like they mattered. The way you stood straight when you served us, no fear in your eyes. The way you exist in the world with this," he gestured, searching for words, "this warmth that's completely foreign to my life." The honesty of it stole her breath. "Jae-won, let me finish." His voice dropped lower. "I can offer you things, security, money, protection, a life where you'd never have to work 2 jobs again, where you could write full-time without worrying about rent, where—" "Stop." She held up a hand. "Just stop." He went quiet. "I didn't come here for money or security or a transaction." She met his eyes. "I came because your grandmother asked me to give you a chance, and because when you walked into that restaurant, I felt something I haven't felt in a long time. Interest, curiosity, connection." She took a breath. "But I'm not for sale, Jae-won. Whatever this is, whatever it could be, it can't start with you trying to buy me." Silence stretched between them. Then, "You're right. I apologize. Accepted. Let me try again." He shifted forward. "Have dinner with me. Not as an arrangement, not as a transaction, just as 2 people who felt something Wednesday and want to see if it's real. What about your grandmother's matchmaking? We'll deal with her together. But this," he gestured between them, "this happens on our terms. Or not at all. Your choice." Amara studied him, this dangerous man who'd just admitted to investigating every detail of her life, who commanded an empire built on violence and control, who was looking at her like she held something he'd been searching for and couldn't name. "Okay," she said. "Dinner. As 2 people. No arrangements. No expectations beyond seeing where this goes." His smile was slow, genuine, and absolutely devastating. "Thank you." A door slid open behind them. "Jae-won, are you going to introduce me, or must I introduce myself?" The voice was warm, but commanding. Amara turned to see an elderly Korean woman entering the garden room with the bearing of someone who'd never been denied anything in her life. She wore a traditional hanbok in deep jade green, the silk flowing elegantly as she moved. Her hair was styled in a traditional manner, and her eyes, sharp, intelligent, missing nothing, swept over Amara with obvious assessment. Jaewon stood immediately. Amara followed suit. Hermione, I told you we'd come find you after you'd decided whether she was acceptable? Don't be ridiculous. She moved closer to Amara, tilting her head. So, you're the one. I'm Amara Bennett, ma'am. It's an honor to meet you. Ma'am? The older woman's lips quirked. Polite, good. Jaewon needs someone with manners since he seems to have forgotten his. She looked pointedly at her grandson. You didn't offer her food yet? We were talking, Hermione. Talking doesn't fill stomachs. She clapped her hands once, and almost immediately staff appeared with trays of food. Sit, both of you. We eat, then we talk properly. There was no arguing with that tone. They sat. The food was incredible. Traditional Korean dishes prepared with obvious expertise. Bulgogi, japchae, kimchi, various banchan, all arranged beautifully on the low table. Jaewon's grandmother settled across from them with surprising grace for her age. So, Amara Bennett, tell me about yourself. Not the facts my grandson already knows. She waved dismissively. He probably knows your blood type by now. Tell me something real. Amara glanced at Jaewon, who looked faintly uncomfortable. Good. He deserved it. Something real, she repeated. I moved to Chicago 2 years ago to chase a dream that's taking longer to catch than I expected. I work 2 jobs I'm good at but don't love. I write stories about people who usually get overlooked because I believe everyone's story matters. And I'm terrified right now but trying not to show it. The grandmother's eyes gleamed. Why terrified? Because this... Amara gestured at the room, the food, them. This isn't my world. I grew up solidly middle class. My mom's a nurse. My brothers are still finding their way. We're good people living regular lives. This? She looked around. This is wealth and power and tradition I don't understand. And your grandson is... She glanced at Jaewon. Complicated. Complicated. The grandmother laughed. That's diplomatic. He's dangerous, ruthless, and emotionally constipated. But you knew that already, didn't you? Hermione, Jaewon's voice held warning. Hush. I'm talking to your potential bride. Amara nearly choked on her tea. We're not, this isn't, you came to dinner. That means you're considering it. The older woman's gaze was piercing. I don't arrange matches lightly, Amara. I've proposed 27 women to my grandson, all from good families, all appropriate, all Korean. He rejected every single one. With good reason, Jaewon interjected. They wanted the Kang name, the money, the status. And you think this one doesn't? His grandmother's tone was sharp. I know she doesn't. How? Because she argued with me when I tried to offer her exactly those things. He looked at Amara. She told me she's not for sale, that whatever happens between us has to be real, not transactional. His grandmother was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled, genuine warmth that softened her severe features. Good. You have spine. Jaewon needs someone who won't break under the weight of his world, someone who'll challenge him instead of enabling him. She leaned forward. But understand this, child. If you choose this path, if you choose him, there's no going back. Our world is dangerous. Once you're in, you're in. Protected, yes. Valued, yes. But also targeted. There are people who would hurt you to hurt him, who would use you as leverage or punishment. The words should have sent her running. Instead, Amara found herself asking, Why are you telling me this? Because I like you, and I want you to choose with open eyes. She glanced at her grandson. Jaewon won't tell you these things. He'll try to protect you from knowledge, thinking ignorance is safety. But I know better. Knowledge is power, and you'll need power to survive in this family. Hermione, you're scaring her. Good. She should be scared. Fear keeps you careful. Careful keeps you alive. Amara set down her chopsticks. With respect, ma'am, I've been careful my whole life. I grew up in neighborhoods where you learned to read situations fast or you didn't survive. I know about danger. I know about making choices that have consequences. She took a breath. And I appreciate your honesty, but I'm not making any decisions tonight. Your grandson and I just agreed to dinner, to seeing if what we felt Wednesday was real. That's all. That's enough. The grandmother smiled. More than enough. Most girls would have run already or accepted immediately for the wrong reasons. You're doing neither. You're thinking. evaluating, protecting yourself while staying open. She nodded approvingly. Yes, you'll do nicely. Halmione? Oh, relax, Jaewon. I'm not planning the wedding yet, but I like her. She's strong, real, exactly what you need. She stood with surprising grace. I'll leave you two alone. Finish dinner, talk, get to know each other without an old woman meddling. She paused at the door. But Amara? Yes, ma'am. Come back. Even if this doesn't work with my grandson, come visit me. I enjoy good conversation, and you're the most interesting person he's brought home in years. Then she was gone, leaving them in charged silence. Jaewon exhaled slowly. I apologize for her. Don't. She's amazing. She's manipulative. She's protective. There's a difference. Amara picked up her chopsticks. And she's right. I am scared, but not for the reasons you think. What scares you? That I'm already in too deep after one dinner. That I felt more in 3 seconds of eye contact Wednesday than I felt in months with my ex. That you're dangerous and complicated and completely wrong for me. She met his eyes. And I can't seem to care about any of that. The air between them charged with electricity. Amara, your turn. What scares you? He was quiet for several heartbeats. When he spoke, his voice was raw. That you'll see who I really am, what I've done, what I'm capable of, and you'll run. Or worse, you'll stay out of some misguided belief you can fix me. His hand clenched on the table. I'm not fixable, Amara. I've done things that would horrify you. I've hurt people, killed people, directly and indirectly. I've built an empire on fear and violence and calculated ruthlessness. And I won't apologize for any of it because that world, those choices, they made me who I am. I'm not asking you to apologize. You should be running. I'm not running either. She reached across the table, her hand hovering near his. I'm not naive, Jaewon. I know what you are, what you do, and I'm not here to fix you or save you or change you. I'm here because... She took a breath. Because when you looked at me Wednesday, I felt seen for the first time in years. Really seen. Not as a waitress or a struggling journalist or someone to pity, just as me. His hand moved, covering hers. The contact sent heat up her arm. You are remarkable, he said quietly, and I have no idea what to do with you. Figure it out as we go? Together? Together. They finished dinner in companionable silence, the tension between them transforming from charged to comfortable. He asked about her writing, and she found herself opening up about stories she wanted to tell, communities she wanted to explore. He talked about his mother, dead from cancer when he was 17, who'd taught him to see beauty in brutal places, about inheriting an empire he'd been too young to run and learning ruthlessness as a survival skill. My father was a hard man, he said, respected but not loved, feared but not trusted. When he died, I had a choice, follow his path or forge my own. I chose something in between, his strength with my mother's humanity. It's not perfect, but it's mine. Do you regret it? The life you built? Never. I regret specific choices, specific casualties, but the empire itself? No. It provides for hundreds of families, protects people who have nowhere else to turn. It's not conventional, but it serves a purpose. That's a rationalization. Maybe, but it's also true. He studied her. Does it bother you? What I do? Yes, but it doesn't make me want to leave, which probably says something questionable about my judgment. His smile was wry. Or it says you understand that morality isn't always black and white, that sometimes good people do bad things for complex reasons. That's also a rationalization. I have a lot of those? They laughed, and it felt natural, easy, like they'd been doing this for years instead of hours. When dinner ended, he walked her through the gardens. The night air was cool, fragrant with flowers she couldn't name. The koi pond reflected moonlight, and somewhere in the distance she heard water trickling over stones. This is beautiful, she said. My mother designed it before she got sick. His voice was soft. She said gardens were about creating peace in chaos, finding balance between control and nature. She sounds like she was wise. She was, and she would have liked you. He stopped walking, turning to face her. Amara, I need you to understand something. If you choose this, choose me, your life will change. I can't promise safety. I can't promise normal. I can promise protection, loyalty, honesty. But normal? He shook his head. That's not possible in my world. I haven't had normal since I moved to Chicago. Maybe I don't want normal. What do you want? I want to feel alive, to matter, to be seen. She moved closer. To take risks that scare me but might be worth it. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. You're going to ruin me, aren't you? Probably. Good. He leaned in, and for a breathless moment she thought he'd kiss her. Instead, his forehead touched hers. I'm not ready to let you go yet. Then don't. They stood like that, breathing the same air, two people from different worlds trying to build a bridge between them. Finally, reluctantly, he stepped back. My driver will take you home. But Amara, next time, let me pick you up properly. Let me take you somewhere that isn't my grandmother's house. Next time? Thursday, 7 o'clock. There's an art gallery opening. Korean contemporary artists. Will you come with me? She should have said it was too soon. Should have put distance between them to think clearly. Should have listened to every logical reason this was a terrible idea. Yes. His smile was blinding. Thank you. He walked her to the car, his hand on the small of her back burning through the fabric of her dress. At the door, he caught her hand. Amara, be careful going forward. Not everyone in my world will be happy about you. Is that a threat? It's a warning, because I've just decided you're mine, and I protect what's mine. The declaration should have scared her. Instead, it felt like a promise. She got into the car, and as it pulled away, she watched him through the rear window, standing in the driveway, hands in his pockets, watching her go. Her phone buzzed. Keisha. Well? Amara stared at the message, then at the estate disappearing behind them. I'm in so much trouble, she whispered. But she was smiling when she said it. Thursday arrived with unseasonable warmth that made Chicago feel almost tropical. Amara spent the day in a state of distracted anxiety that made her drop plates twice and overcharge a customer 3 times. Mrs. Chen finally pulled her aside during the afternoon lull. You're thinking about him. It wasn't a question. I'm fine, Mrs. Chen. You're jumpy as a cat, and you keep checking your phone. The older woman's expression was troubled. Amara, sweetie, I know I'm not your mother, but I care about you, and I'm worried. I can take care of myself. I know you can. You're strong, capable, smart. But that man... Mrs. Chen shook her head. That man is dangerous in ways you can't see yet. His world has rules you don't understand, consequences you can't predict. I know what he is. Do you? Do you really? Mrs. Chen gripped her arm gently. Men like Kang Jae-won, they don't have relationships. They have possessions, property, things they control and protect and destroy when threatened. Is that what you want to be? The words stung because they echoed her own fears. He's not like that. How do you know? You've had dinner with him once. Twice, if you count the restaurant. Amara, Mrs. Chen, I appreciate your concern. I do. But I'm going on this date with my eyes open, and if it turns out you're right, I'll walk away. But I need to find out for myself. Mrs. Chen studied her for a long moment, then sighed. You're as stubborn as my daughter. Fine, go on your date, but promise me you'll be careful. And if anything feels wrong, anything at all, you call me or the police or both. I promise. But as Amara left work at 5 to prepare for the evening, Mrs. Chen's words echoed in her head. Men like that don't have relationships. They have possessions. Was that what she was becoming? A possession? Back in her studio apartment, Amara stared at her closet with mounting frustration. She owned exactly 3 dresses suitable for art gallery opening with a Mafia boss, and 2 of them he'd already seen. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number said a package was being delivered to her building and should arrive by 5:30. It was signed simply with the initials JW. Before she could respond, her buzzer rang. The delivery was a large white box with her name written in elegant calligraphy. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was a dress. Not just any dress. An emerald silk creation that probably cost more than 3 months of her rent. The cut was elegant but not ostentatious, the fabric butter soft, and, she checked, it was exactly her size. A card rested on top. You mentioned you only own 3 nice dresses. Now you own 4, though you'd look beautiful in anything. J. Her heart did something complicated. This was the second time he'd sent her clothing. The second time he'd noticed details about her life and acted on them without being asked. It should have felt controlling, like he was trying to change her, mold her into something that fit his world. Instead, it felt like being seen. Like he'd listened when she joked about her limited wardrobe and wanted to give her something that made her feel as beautiful as he apparently thought she was. She tried the dress on in her cramped bathroom. It fit perfectly. The emerald made her skin glow and the cut accentuated every curve while remaining elegant. She looked like someone who belonged at gallery openings and expensive dinners. She looked like someone who could stand beside Kang Jae-won and not seem out of place. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. She styled her hair in loose curls that cascaded over one shoulder, applied makeup with a steady hand despite her racing pulse, and was sliding on her heels when her phone buzzed again. Jae-won texted that he was downstairs and she should take her time. She grabbed her clutch, checked her reflection one last time, and headed down. The town car was waiting, but this time Jae-won stood beside it. He wore a charcoal suit with a black shirt, no tie, and the sight of him made her breath catch. Sharp lines, severe features, dark eyes that tracked her approach with predatory focus. But it was his expression when he saw her that made her stomach flip. Raw appreciation, hunger, something deeper that he didn't try to hide. Amara. Her name was almost reverent. You're devastating. The dress helps. The dress is just fabric. You make it remarkable. He moved closer, and his hand came up to tuck a curl behind her ear. Thank you for wearing it. Thank you for sending it, though you didn't have to. I wanted to. I wanted to see you in something that matches how I see you. And how do you see me? His eyes held hers. Like you belong in rooms where people have forgotten how to be real. Like you're the only authentic thing in a world of carefully constructed lies. Heat crept up her neck. That's intense. I don't know how to be anything else with you. He opened the car door. Shall we? The drive to the gallery took 20 minutes. Jae-won's hand found hers in the space between them, fingers interlacing with an ease that felt natural despite them barely knowing each other. Tell me about the artists, she said. Korean contemporary. Most of them are second-generation Korean Americans trying to reconcile traditional aesthetics with modern American experiences. Identity through art. Belonging through creation. He glanced at her. My mother would have loved this exhibition. She believed art was how we make sense of impossible contradictions. You talk about her often. She's the reason I'm not just my father's son, the reason I can still see beauty in brutal places. His thumb traced circles on her palm. She taught me that power without humanity is just tyranny. That strength means knowing when to be gentle. Was your father different? My father was... Jae-won paused, choosing words carefully. A necessary force. He built something from nothing, protected people, who had nowhere else to turn. But he was hard, unforgiving. He saw the world in binaries. Strength or weakness, loyalty or betrayal, no room for complexity. And you? I try to be both. His strength with her compassion. It's not always successful. Sometimes the violence required by my world conflicts with the humanity she taught me. But I try. The car pulled up to the gallery, all glass and modern architecture in Chicago's Gold Coast. Jae-won helped her out, and his hand immediately found the small of her back as they entered. The gallery was already crowded with Chicago's art elite. Expensive clothes, expensive jewelry, expensive conversations about pieces they'd probably never buy. But the artwork itself was stunning. Bold colors, traditional Korean elements reimagined through modern eyes, dragons and tigers rendered in abstract forms, landscapes that blended Seoul's mountains with Chicago's skyline. This is incredible, Amara breathed. Jae-won's hand pressed more firmly against her back. Come, I'll show you my favorites. They moved through the gallery, and Amara became aware of people watching them. Not casual glances, calculated assessments. women's eyes tracking J1 with obvious interest, then sliding to her with thinly veiled curiosity or disdain. Men's eyes cataloging her presence, wondering what it meant that Kang Jae-won had brought someone to a public event. "They're staring," she murmured. "Let them." His voice was quiet but firm. "You're with me, that's all that matters." They stopped before a massive canvas, a tiger and dragon intertwined, rendered in bold brushstrokes that seemed to move in the gallery lighting. "My father had this tattooed on his back," Jae-won said softly. "The dragon represents wisdom, power, the heavens. The tiger represents strength, courage, the earth. Together they're balance, duality, the reconciliation of opposites. Do you have it, too?" "A version of it. My mother insisted I add cherry blossoms, beauty, impermanence, the fleeting nature of life. She said I needed to remember that power is temporary, but kindness echoes." Amara studied him in profile. This dangerous man talking about art and philosophy and his mother's wisdom. The contradiction was dizzying. "Can I see it? The tattoo?" His eyes darkened. "Later, when we're alone, if you still want to." The promise in his voice sent heat pooling in her stomach. They wandered deeper into the gallery, away from the crowds. In a smaller room featuring traditional Korean landscapes reimagined with urban elements, they found themselves, momentarily, alone. "My mother would have loved these," Jae-won said quietly. "She used to say that home isn't a place. It's a feeling of belonging that you carry inside you, and art helps you find it when you're lost. You miss her. Every day. She was the best of us. When she died, something broke in our family that never healed." Amara's hand found his arm squeezing gently. "I'm sorry." He looked down at her, and vulnerability flickered across his features. "You're the first person I've told these stories to in years, the first person who seemed to understand that power and pain aren't mutually exclusive." "Jae-won," voices echoed from the main gallery, sharp, aggressive, wrong. Jae-won's entire demeanor shifted in an instant. The vulnerable man disappeared, and the dangerous one emerged. His hand moved to her waist, pulling her behind him with practiced efficiency. "Stay close," he commanded quietly. They moved toward the commotion. 3 men had entered the gallery, clearly not art enthusiasts. They had the same energy as Jae-won's associates, but darker, more volatile. Expensive suits, cold eyes, the kind of presence that made civilians uncomfortable without knowing why. One of them spotted Jae-won and smiled without warmth. "Kang Jae-won, didn't expect to see you here." The man was Korean, mid-40s, with a scar along his jaw and eyes that promised violence. "Lee Sung-min." Jae-won's voice was flat, controlled. "This isn't the place. Everywhere is the place when we have unfinished business." Lee's eyes flicked to Amara and his smile widened. "Pretty date. New acquisition?" The insult in his tone made Amara's spine stiffen, but Jae-won's hand tightened on her waist in warning. "Leave. Now." Jae-won's voice dropped to something lethal. "Before this becomes a problem you can't solve. Your territory isn't what it used to be, Kang. People are talking, saying you're getting soft." Lee stepped closer. "Maybe they're right. Maybe that American softness is finally catching up to you." The racial undertone wasn't subtle. The tension in the room was suffocating. Amara could see other patrons backing away, gallery staff pulling out phones. "Amara," Jae-won said quietly, not taking his eyes off Lee, "walk to the front entrance. My driver is outside. Get in the car. I'm not leaving you. Now." The command in his voice was absolute, but before anyone could move, Lee's hand went to his jacket, the universal signal that Amara recognized from too many neighborhoods back home. He had a gun. "Everyone stay calm," Lee said, though his smile suggested he wanted anything but calm. "Jae-won and I just need to have a conversation about respect, about territory, about what happens when people forget their place." Jae-won positioned himself fully between Amara and Lee, his body a shield. "This is your last warning, Lee. Leave now and we handle this through proper channels. Stay, and you're declaring war in a public space with witnesses and cameras." "Maybe I'm tired of channels." The next few seconds happened in fragments. Lee's hand moved toward his jacket. Someone screamed. Jae-won shoved Amara toward a side hallway with enough force that she stumbled. "Run!" he commanded. but she looked back in time to see Lee raise the gun. Amara didn't think, didn't calculate, didn't do anything except react on instinct honed from years of looking out for people she cared about. She launched herself back toward Jaewon as the shot rang out. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Glass shattered, a nearby artwork exploding into fragments, people scattered screaming, strong arms wrapped around her, and suddenly she was airborne. Jaewon had grabbed her and was running, carrying her through the side exit like she weighed nothing. They burst into an alley. His car screeched to a stop at the mouth of it, doors already open. He shoved her inside and followed, barking orders to the driver in rapid Korean. The car peeled out as another gunshot cracked behind them. "Get down!" Jaewon pushed her head below the window line, his body covering hers as the back window spiderwebbed with impact. They took corners at speeds that defied physics. Amara's heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. Jaewon's weight was solid above her, protective, and she could feel his heart racing just as fast. Finally, after what felt like hours but was probably minutes, the driver spoke in Korean. Jaewon responded, then slowly lifted off her. "Are you hurt?" His hands ran over her arms, her face checking for injuries with frantic precision. "I'm fine. Are you? What the hell were you thinking?" His voice was raw, almost angry. "I told you to run. He had a gun pointed at you. I can handle men with guns. I can't—" He cut himself off, jaw clenching. "You could have been killed, Amara." "So could you." She grabbed his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. "So could you, Jaewon." Something broke in his expression. His forehead dropped to hers, and they breathed the same air in the back of that speeding car. "You're insane," he whispered. "Probably. You should run from me, as far and fast as possible." "I know." His hand slid into her hair, fingers tangling in her curls. "Amara, don't—" She pressed her fingers to his lips. "Don't tell me this was a mistake. Don't tell me to go, because I'm not going anywhere. This is my world. Bullets and blood and violence. This is what being with me means." "Then I'm in your world." She pulled his hand down, holding it against her chest where her heart was still racing. "I just watched someone try to kill you and I realized something." "What?" "That I'm already in. Too deep to walk away. That whatever this is between us, it matters enough to fight for." His eyes searched hers. Dark, intense, full of things neither of them were ready to name. "You're going to destroy me," he said softly, "or save you." He kissed her. It wasn't gentle or tentative. It was desperate and claiming and full of everything they'd been holding back. His hand fisted in her hair, angling her head, and she opened for him with a sound that was half surprise, half surrender. He tasted like danger and desire, and Amara kissed him back with everything she had, all the fear and adrenaline and want transforming into something that felt inevitable. When they finally broke apart, both breathing, hard, his thumb traced her swollen bottom lip. "This changes everything," he said. "I know. There's no going back now. I don't want to go back." His smile was fierce, possessive, and absolutely devastating. "Good, because you're mine now, Amara Bennett, and I protect what's mine." The declaration should have scared her. Instead, it felt like coming home. The car pulled up to a high-rise building Amara didn't recognize. Jaewon helped her out, his hand never leaving her body as they entered through a private entrance and took an elevator that required a keycard. "Where are we?" "My place. The penthouse. You'll be safe here while I handle Lee." The elevator opened directly into his apartment. Correction, his penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views of Lake Michigan and the Chicago skyline. The interior was all clean lines and expensive minimalism. Dark wood, leather furniture, the kind of space that said money but also taste. Jaewon, what just happened back there? Was a power play. Lee Sung-min heads a rival organization. We've had an uneasy truce for 2 years, but recently there's been pressure on territories. His jaw clenched. "I didn't think he'd be reckless enough to make a move in public, with witnesses, with you there." "Who is he?" "Competition. Enemy. A man who's decided the truce no longer benefits him." Jaewon moved to the bar, poured whiskey into 2 glasses. "He saw us together, saw me with someone who clearly matters, and he just made you a target." The words should have terrified her. Instead, they made her angry. "So what happens now?" He handed her a glass. "Now I end this, permanently." "What does that mean?" "It means Lee made a mistake tonight. He attacked me in public, endangered civilians, and worst of all," his eyes met hers, "he threatened you. That's not something I forgive." "J1, I need you to understand something." He set down his glass and moved closer. "In my world, there are rules, lines you don't cross. Attacking someone in front of their—" He paused, searching for the right word. "In front of someone they care about? That's a declaration of war, and war in our world ends one way. With death." "Yes." Amara should have been horrified, should have been backing away from this man who was calmly discussing killing someone like it was a business decision. Instead, she found herself asking, "What do you need from me?" Surprise flickered across his features. "What? You're going to handle this? Fine. What do you need from me? Do I stay here? Do I go somewhere else? Do I—" He crossed the distance between them in 2 strides, his hands cupping her face. "You stay here, where I know you're safe, where I can have people watching every entrance and exit, where—" his voice roughened, "where I know nothing can touch you." "For how long?" "Until this is over. A few days, maybe less. I have work, 2 jobs, bills, responsibilities. I'll handle it. Mrs. Chen will understand. Your hotel supervisor will understand. Your bills—" "I'm not asking you to pay my bills. I'm not asking permission." His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "Amara, a man just shot at you because you're with me. Do you understand what that means? It means everyone in my world now knows you matter to me, which makes you leverage, a target, a weakness they'll exploit." "So what am I supposed to do? Hide here forever?" "No. You're supposed to let me eliminate the threat. Then we figure out what comes next." He leaned his forehead against hers. "But tonight, right now, I need you safe. I need to know that while I'm handling Lee, you're here, protected, alive. Can you give me that?" The vulnerability in his voice undid her. "Okay, I'll stay." "Thank you." He kissed her then, softer than before, but no less intense. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with something that looked like fear. "I'm going to fix this," he promised. "And then—" He paused. "Then we talk about what this is, what we are. Because after tonight, after you threw yourself toward danger instead of away from it, after you looked at my world and decided to stay—" His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "I don't think I can let you go. I'm not asking you to." His smile was brief, fierce. "Good." He made several calls in rapid Korean, his tone clipped and authoritative. Amara watched him transform from the vulnerable man who'd shared his mother's wisdom to the dangerous one who commanded empires. This was who he really was. Both men. The contradiction was who Kang Jae-won had become. When he finished, he returned to her. "My people are moving on Lee's locations now. He'll be handled by morning. In the meantime," he gestured around, "make yourself comfortable. The bedroom is through there. Kitchen is fully stocked. There's a library if you want to read, a home office if you want to write. Whatever you need. What about you? I have work to do, calls to make, people to coordinate. So I just wait?" He moved closer, tucking a curl behind her ear. "You rest, eat, decompress, process the fact that you were almost killed tonight because of me." His voice was rough. "And if you decide this is too much, if you want to leave after it's safe, I'll understand. I'll hate it, but I'll understand." "I'm not leaving." "You say that now?" "J1." She grabbed his hand. "I'm not leaving. Not tonight. Not when this is over. You don't get to push me away because you're scared." "I'm not scared." "Liar." But she smiled when she said it. "You're terrified. Because caring about someone makes you vulnerable, and vulnerability is dangerous in your world. But guess what? I'm scared too. I'm terrified. A man shot at us tonight. At me. Because I matter to you. That should send me running." "Why doesn't it?" "Because—" She took a breath, steadying herself. "Because when you kissed me in that car, I felt something I haven't felt in years. Maybe ever. Like I finally found someone who sees all of me and doesn't want to change a single thing. Like I found home in the most unexpected place. His eyes closed briefly, like her words hurt. When he opened them, they were blazing with intensity. "Stay tonight," he said. "Let me keep you safe. And tomorrow, when this is over, we talk about what comes next, about what this is, about—" he paused, "about how I'm falling for you so fast it terrifies me, and I have no idea how to protect you from my world while keeping you in my life. We'll figure it out. Together? Together." He kissed her again, and this time it was slow, thorough, full of promise instead of panic. "I need to make more calls," he murmured against her mouth. "But after, will you stay with me tonight? Just sleep. I need to know you're close." "Yes. Thank you." He disappeared into his office, and Amara was left standing in the penthouse, her heart racing, her mind spinning, her body still buzzing from adrenaline and his kiss. She moved to the windows, looking out at Chicago spread below like a glittering promise. Somewhere out there, Jae-won's people were moving on Lee. Somewhere out there, violence was being enacted in her name, for her protection. The thought should have horrified her. Instead, it made her feel safe, protected, valued. She pulled out her phone and sent a quick text to Keisha saying she was safe and would explain everything tomorrow. Her friend immediately replied asking where she was and whether she'd seen the news about the gallery shooting. Amara responded that she was with Jae-won at his place and that he was handling the situation. Keisha's response was predictably frantic, asking if she was in danger. Amara assured her she wasn't anymore, that Jae-won was protecting her, and that she'd call tomorrow with all the details. Her friend made her promise to text a code word if she needed help, and Amara agreed before setting her phone aside. She explored the penthouse. The bedroom was massive, with a bed that could sleep 4 and more windows showcasing the city. The closet was the size of her entire studio apartment. The bathroom had a soaking tub that overlooked the lake. She found the library, actual floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with everything from Korean literature to American classics to contemporary fiction. A writing desk sat by the window, perfectly positioned to capture natural light. It was the kind of space she'd dreamed about when she'd imagined making it as a journalist, the kind of place where creativity could flourish without the constant pressure of bills and survival. She heard Jae-won's voice from his office, low, controlled, giving orders in Korean. The language sounded beautiful and harsh in equal measure. Finally, near midnight, he emerged. He'd removed his jacket and tie, and his shirt was unbuttoned at the collar. He looked exhausted and dangerous in equal measure. "It's done," he said simply. "Lee? Being handled as we speak. His organization will scatter by morning. His lieutenants know better than to continue this fight." He moved to the bar, poured himself another whiskey. "You're safe now. And you? I've made my position clear. Anyone who comes after you comes after the full force of the Kang family. That's not a fight most people want." He downed the whiskey, then looked at her. "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For dragging you into this. For making you a target. For—" He gestured helplessly. "For being who I am." Amara crossed to him, taking the empty glass from his hand and setting it aside. "Stop apologizing for existing. You are who you are. I'm choosing this, choosing you, with open eyes." She cupped his face. "Now come to bed. You look exhausted." "Amara, we don't have to—" "I know. You said just sleep. So, let's sleep." She took his hand. "Come on." In his bedroom, he gave her one of his shirts to sleep in. It fell to mid-thigh on her, and when she emerged from the bathroom, his eyes darkened with unmistakable hunger. "You're testing my restraint." "I'm wearing a shirt that goes to my knees. It's my shirt, on your body, that's—" He shook his head. "Never mind. Bed, sleep, I'll take the couch." "Don't be ridiculous. The bed is enormous. We can share it like adults." "Amara, Jae-won, bed, now." He smiled despite himself and complied. They lay in the darkness, the city lights casting shadows across the ceiling. He was careful to maintain distance between them, but Amara could feel the tension in his body. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for protecting me tonight, for being honest about your world, for not treating me like I'm fragile. You're not fragile. You're extraordinary." His voice was rough. "And I'm falling for you so fast it terrifies me." "Good. Good. I'm terrified too, so at least we're equally scared." He laughed softly, and some of the tension eased from his body. "Come here," he said. She moved closer, and his arm wrapped around her, pulling her against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat, steady and strong. "Is this okay?" he asked. "Perfect." They fell asleep like that. Two people from different worlds, wrapped around each other, trying to build something new from the fragments of who they'd been. Outside, Chicago glittered with possibility and danger in equal measure. But inside, in that moment, they were safe. But safety never lasts in the Mafia world. What Jaewon did to Lee will have consequences, and Amara is about to discover the true cost of loving a man who lives by violence. Amara woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the unfamiliar weight of an arm across her waist. For a disoriented moment, she forgot where she was. Then memory crashed back. The gallery, the gunshots, the car chase, Jaewon's penthouse. Jaewon. She turned carefully, not wanting to wake him, and found herself face to face with the most dangerous man in Chicago, looking unexpectedly peaceful, in sleep. His features were softer like this. The severe lines relaxed. Dark lashes cast shadows on his cheeks, and his hair was mussed from sleep. He looked younger, almost vulnerable. Then his eyes opened, immediately alert, no grogginess, and the dangerous man returned. "Good morning," he said, voice rough with sleep. "Hi." His arm tightened around her waist. "You're still here?" "Where else would I be?" "Running. Most people would be running by now." His thumb traced lazy circles on her hip through his shirt. "You're not most people." "No, I'm not." They lay there in comfortable silence, the city waking up beyond the windows. Amara could hear the distant sounds of traffic, of life continuing while they existed in this suspended moment. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. "Now we figure out how to keep you safe while I dismantle what's left of Lee's operation. Then," he paused, "then we decide what this is. What do you want it to be?" His eyes held hers, dark and intense. "Everything. I want you in my life, in my home, in my world. I want to wake up like this every morning. I want—" He stopped himself. "But wanting and having are different things, especially in my world." "Jaewon!" His phone buzzed on the nightstand. He glanced at it, and his expression hardened. "I need to take this." He rolled out of bed, and Amara got her first full view of his tattoos. The tiger and dragon covered his entire back, intertwined in intricate detail with cherry blossoms scattered throughout. The ink was masterwork, traditional Korean style blended with modern artistry. Other tattoos marked his arms and chest, Korean characters, geometric patterns, symbols she didn't recognize. Each one probably had a story, a meaning, a piece of his history written on his skin. He grabbed his phone and stepped into the hallway, speaking in rapid Korean. Amara sat up, pulling her knees to her chest. Through the window, Chicago stretched out in all its morning glory, the lake reflecting sunlight, buildings reaching toward the sky, millions of people starting their day completely unaware that somewhere in this city, violence had been enacted in the night. Violence for her, because of her. The thought should have made her sick. Instead, it made her feel something she couldn't quite name. Protected? Valued? Claimed? Jaewon returned 10 minutes later, his expression grim. "What is it?" "Lee is dead. His top 3 lieutenants are dead. His organization is scattered." He sat on the edge of the bed, not looking at her. "It's handled." The finality in his voice was chilling. "Did you—" "No. I gave the orders, but I didn't pull the trigger myself. Does that make a difference?" Amara thought about it. Really thought about it. This man had ordered deaths last night. Multiple deaths, because someone had threatened her. "I don't know," she said honestly. "Maybe it should. Maybe I should be horrified. But all I can think is that he shot at you. At us. And in your world, that has consequences." He turned to look at her, surprise flickering across his features. "You're not running." "I told you I wouldn't." "Amara, I killed people last night. Had them killed. 6 men are dead because they made the mistake of threatening what's mine." His voice was raw. "That should terrify you." "It does." She moved closer, kneeling behind him on the bed. "But it doesn't make me want to leave." Her hands traced the tattoo on his back, the tiger and dragon, the cherry blossoms. His muscles tensed under her touch. "Tell me about this," she said softly. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "My father had the tiger and dragon, symbol of the Kang family, power balanced with wisdom, earth balanced with heaven. When I took over after he died, I had it done, but I added the cherry blossoms, my mother's favorite flower." "Why cherry blossoms?" "Because she used to say that beauty is more powerful than violence, that kindness echoes longer than fear. The blossoms remind me that power is temporary, but the impact we have on people lasts." He reached back, catching her hand. "She would have liked you, would have said you're exactly what I need." "What do you need?" "Someone who sees both sides of me and doesn't try to change either one. Someone who understands that I can be brutal and gentle, dangerous and kind, a killer, and a man who wants desperately to be worthy of her." He pulled her around to face him. "I need you, Amara, more than I've needed anything in years, and that terrifies me." "Why?" "Because need is weakness in my world. Because caring about someone gives my enemies a target. Because—" his voice dropped. "Because I'm falling in love with you, and love makes me vulnerable in ways that could get us both killed." The confession hung in the air between them. Amara cupped his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. "Then we'll be vulnerable together. We'll be careful together. We'll figure this out together." "It's not that simple." "It is that simple. You're falling for me, I'm falling for you. Everything else we figure out as we go." "You're insane." "Probably," she smiled, "but so are you for wanting me." He kissed her then, deep and claiming and full of everything they'd been holding back. His hand slid into her hair, angling her head, and she opened for him with a sound that was pure surrender. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. "Stay with me," he said. "Not just today. Stay. Move in here. Let me protect you properly. Let me—" He paused, searching for words. "Let me build a life with you." "Jaewon, that's fast." "I know. But I don't do anything halfway, Amara. When I commit completely. And I'm committing to you, to this, to us." His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "I know it's fast, I know it's insane. But after last night, after almost losing you, I realized I don't want to waste time pretending this is casual. It's not, it never was." Amara's heart hammered against her ribs. This was crazy. They barely knew each other. Moving in together after less than a week was objectively insane. But when had she ever played it safe? "Okay," she heard herself say. "I'll stay." His smile was blinding. "Yeah?" "Yeah, but I keep my studio, as backup, just in case." "Just in case I turn out to be a controlling psychopath?" "Something like that." He laughed, the sound genuine and warm. "Fair enough. Keep the studio, but stay here, with me. Let me take care of you while you chase your dreams." "I can take care of myself." "I know you can. That's part of why I love you." The words came out easy, natural. "But let me help anyway, not because you need it, but because I want to, because seeing you happy makes me happy." Love. He'd said it so casually, like it was already established fact, and maybe it was. "I love you too," she said, testing the words. They felt right, terrifying but right. "I don't know how it happened so fast, but I do." His kiss was softer this time, reverent. When he pulled back, his eyes were blazing with intensity. "You're mine now, Amara Bennett. Completely. And I'm yours. Whatever comes next, we face it together." "Together," she agreed. They spent the morning in a domestic bubble that felt surreal given the violence of the previous night. Jaewon made coffee, expensive imported beans ground fresh, while Amara explored his kitchen. "You actually cook?" she asked, watching him move with practiced efficiency. "My mother taught me. She said a man who can't feed himself is helpless, and helpless men don't survive." He handed her a mug. "Try this." The coffee was perfect, rich, smooth, exactly the right temperature. Show off. He smiled. I have many skills you haven't discovered yet. The promise in his voice sent heat through her body. They ate breakfast at the island. Fresh fruit, pastries from a bakery that probably required a reservation, orange juice that tasted like sunshine. Normal couple things, except one of them had ordered murders last night and the other was falling in love with him anyway. What happens with work? Amara asked. I can't just disappear. Mrs. Chen will worry. And the hotel... I called them both this morning while you were sleeping. Told them you were taking a week off for personal reasons. Paid in advance. At her expression, he held up a hand. Before you argue, it's temporary. Until we're sure there's no retaliation from Lee's people. After that, you go back to work if you want. Or you don't. Your choice. I want to work. Then you will, but safely. With protection. His eyes were serious. This is non-negotiable, Amara. You're a target now. That means security, guards, precautions. It means your freedom is limited until we're certain the threat is eliminated. The reality of it hit her. This was her life now. Protection details and security concerns, and constantly looking over her shoulder. For how long? As long as necessary. Could be weeks, could be months, could be... He paused. Could be forever. This is what being with me means. She should have felt trapped, should have reconsidered this whole insane situation. Instead, she felt oddly calm. Okay, we do this your way, for now, but Jaewon? She met his eyes. I'm not giving up my life completely. My writing, my dreams, the things that make me who I am, those stay, protected but present. Agreed. He pulled her close. I don't want to change you, Amara. I want to keep you safe while you become everything you're meant to be. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it and sighed. I need to handle some business. Will you be okay here for a few hours? I'm a grown woman. I think I can manage. There's security in the building. If you need anything, press 9 on any phone. They'll respond immediately. He kissed her forehead. I'll be back by dinner. Don't leave the penthouse. I won't. After he left, Amara explored her new temporary home more thoroughly. She found the office and settled at the desk by the window, opening her laptop. Her blog needed updating. Her readers were probably wondering where she'd disappeared to. She started typing. Chronicles of the City. When your life changes overnight. Sometimes we make choices that alter everything. Sometimes those choices choose us. This week I made a choice that terrified me. I chose to stay when logic said run. I chose connection over safety. I chose love over security. And now I'm discovering what it means to build a life in the spaces between danger and desire, between who I was and who I'm becoming. The words flowed easily, cathartic. She wrote about change and choice, and the courage it takes to embrace uncertainty. She didn't mention Jaewon directly, didn't mention violence or Mafia connections, but she wrote her truth. The emotional truth of falling in love with someone complicated in a situation that defied logic. When she finished, she hit publish and sat back, looking out at Chicago. Her phone buzzed. Keisha, finally calling back. They talked for an hour. Amara explained everything. Well, most everything. The arranged marriage setup, the attraction, the gallery shooting, Jaewon's world, the decision to stay. Keisha's response was predictable. You're insane. You know that, right? I know. But you're happy. I can hear it in your voice. I am. Terrified, but happy. Then I support you. But Amara? First sign of trouble. First moment you feel unsafe or controlled or trapped. You call me. Promise. Promise. When Jaewon returned that evening, he found her, curled up in the library, reading. How was your day? He asked, settling beside her. Productive. Wrote a blog post, talked to Keisha, explored your extensive book collection. She smiled. How was yours? Handled Lee's remaining assets, made sure his people know the Kang family is not to be challenged, ensured your safety is priority 1 for my entire organization. He pulled her into his lap. Missed you constantly. You were gone 4 hours. 4 hours too long. She laughed, and he kissed her, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Outside, Chicago glittered with possibility. Inside, they were building something new from blood and choice and unexpected love. And somewhere in the city, consequences were already forming. But consequences would have to wait, because right now, in this moment, they had each other. And sometimes, that's enough. 3 months later. Amara stared at the email on her laptop screen, reading it for the 5th time to make sure it was real. Dear Ms. Bennett, we're pleased to offer you a position as staff writer for the Chicago Tribune. Your work on Voices of the City demonstrates exactly the kind of community-focused journalism we value. She'd done it. Actually done it. The dream she'd been chasing for 2 years had finally materialized. Her hands shook as she reached for her phone to call Jae-won, then stopped. He was in a meeting with his business associates, the legitimate ones, handling the legal empire he'd been methodically building while slowly extracting himself from the illegal operations. The past 3 months had been a study in contradictions, learning to live with a man who commanded empires, adjusting to security details and careful routines, watching him be ruthless in business meetings and gentle in their bedroom, seeing the monster everyone feared and the man only she knew. It hadn't been easy. There were nights she woke from nightmares about the gallery shooting, days when the reality of his world pressed down on her chest like a weight. Moments when she questioned whether love was enough to justify the danger, but there were also mornings waking up in his arms, evenings cooking dinner together in the massive kitchen, late nights in the library where he'd read Korean poetry aloud while she wrote, quiet moments of connection that made everything else worthwhile. Her phone buzzed. Jae-won, meeting's over, coming home. Miss you. Amara. I have news, big news. Jae-won. Good news? Amara. The best. Jae-won. Tell me now or make me wait. Amara. Wait, I want to see your face. Jae-won. Cruel woman, I love you. Amara. Love you too. She closed her laptop and moved to the windows. The penthouse had become home in ways she hadn't expected. She'd added her own touches. Plants in the library, her grandmother's quilt on the bed, framed photos of her family in Atlanta scattered throughout. Jae-won had given her the home office, completely redone to her specifications. The perfect writing space with natural light and inspiring views and everything she needed to pursue her craft. He'd kept his promise, protected her while supporting her dreams, never tried to change her, only to create space for her to become more fully herself. The elevator chimed. She heard his footsteps, then his voice. Amara? In here. He appeared in the doorway of the office, still in his suit from the meeting, and the sight of him still made her breath catch. Sharp features, dark eyes that softened when they found her, the barely contained power in how he moved. Tell me, he demanded, crossing to her. The Tribune offered me a staff position, full-time, benefits, actual salary. She couldn't keep the joy from her voice. I did it, Jae-won. I actually did it. His smile was blinding. He swept her into his arms, spinning her around. I knew you would. I always knew. He set her down but kept her close. You're extraordinary, Amara Bennett. This is just the beginning. I couldn't have done it without you. The time you gave me to write, the support, You did this yourself. Your talent, your dedication, your voice. All I did was make sure you had space to let it flourish. He kissed her softly. I'm so proud of you. They celebrated with champagne and takeout from her favorite Thai place, sitting on the floor of the living room like they'd done that first week when everything was new and uncertain. What happens now? Jae-won asked. I start in 2 weeks, cover local communities, human interest stories, the things I love writing about. She paused. But Jae-won, there's something we need to talk about. His expression became guarded. What? This arrangement. Living here, the security. It's been 3 months since Lee. There's been no retaliation, no threats. At some point, we need to talk about what normal looks like. This is normal. This is a fortress. I have bodyguards. I can't walk to the corner store without a security detail. That's not sustainable long term. Amara, I'm not saying I want to leave. I'm saying we need to find a middle ground, something between complete lockdown and reckless vulnerability. He was quiet for a long moment, then, You're right. I've been overprotective, paranoid even. But the thought of something happening to you, I know, and I love you for wanting to protect me. But I need some of my independence back. I need to feel like I'm living my life, not just surviving in a gilded cage. What do you want? Less obvious security, more freedom to move around the city for work, the ability to have lunch with Keisha without 3 men in suits hovering nearby. She took his hand. I want to build a real life with you, Jae-won, not just exist in your protected bubble. He pulled her onto his lap, his arms wrapping around her waist. Okay, we'll scale back the visible security, but you keep the panic button. You check in regularly. You don't take unnecessary risks. Deal. And Amara? His voice dropped lower. There's something I need to ask you. Her heart skipped. What? He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Time seemed to stop. These past 3 months have been the best of my life, he said quietly. You've made me believe that someone like me can have something real, something beautiful, that I can be more than my father's legacy, or my empire, or the violence I've committed. He opened the box, revealing a ring, elegant, understated, perfect. Marry me, Amara. Build a life with me. Not because it's safe or convenient, but because we choose each other every single day. Tears burned behind her eyes. Jae-won, I know it's fast. I know my world is complicated. I know there will be challenges and dangers and moments when you question this choice. But I love you more than I thought I was capable of loving anyone. And I want to spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice when you stayed. This was insane. They'd known each other for 3 months. By any conventional measure, this was too fast, too reckless, too uncertain. But nothing about their relationship had been conventional. Yes, she heard herself say. Yes, I'll marry you. His smile was devastating. He slipped the ring onto her finger, perfect fit, of course, and kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When they finally broke apart, she was laughing and crying in equal measure. Your grandmother is going to be insufferable about this, she said. She's already planning the wedding, has been since the first dinner. He grinned. She knew before we did. Smart woman, the smartest. He pulled her closer. I love you, Amara Bennett, soon to be Amara Kang. I love you too, my dangerous, complicated, surprisingly romantic Mafia boss. Former Mafia boss. I'm going legitimate, remember? Sure you are. He laughed, and they sat there on the floor of the penthouse, surrounded by empty takeout containers and champagne glasses, planning a future that 3 months ago would have seemed impossible. 6 months later. Amara sat at her desk at the Tribune, putting finishing touches on her latest piece about Chicago's immigrant communities. Her byline, by Amara Bennett, still gave her a thrill every time she saw it. Her phone buzzed. Jae-won, dinner tonight? There's someone I want you to meet. Amara. Who? Jae-won. Surprise. 7 p.m. Dress nice. Amara. I hate surprises. Jae-won. You'll like this one. Trust me. She did trust him. Completely. Despite everything. Despite his world and its dangers. Despite the violence that would always be part of his past. Because he'd kept every promise. Scaled back security while keeping her safe. Supported her career without trying to control it. Been gentle with her heart while remaining ruthless with threats, loved her with an intensity that still took her breath away. That evening, she met him at an upscale Korean restaurant, not the corner where they'd first connected, but somewhere elegant and intimate. He was waiting at a private table, and sitting across from him was an elderly Korean woman with sharp eyes and a warm smile, his grandmother. Halmione, Amara greeted her, bowing slightly in respect. Amara-ya, the grandmother responded, using the affectionate Korean address. Sit, we have much to discuss. Over dinner, they talked about the wedding planning, family expectations, the merging of 2 very different worlds. His grandmother was formidable but kind, demanding but fair. You've changed him, she said at one point, studying Amara carefully, made him softer, more human. I haven't changed him. I just see all of him. That's the same thing. She smiled. My son, Jae-won's father, was a hard man, necessary but hard. I worried Jae-won would become the same, but you've shown him there's strength in softness, power in vulnerability. That makes you perfect for this family. After dinner, walking back to the car with Jae-won's hand in hers, Amara felt something settle in her chest. Peace, maybe. Certainty. This was her life now, complex, dangerous, unpredictable, but also full of love and purpose and connection. Happy? Jaewon asked, terrifyingly happy. Good, he pulled her close, because you're stuck with me now. No returns, no exchanges. Sounds perfect. They stood under the Chicago streetlights, two people from different worlds who'd chosen to build something new together. It wouldn't always be easy. There would be challenges, his past catching up, her career demands, the constant navigation of two very different backgrounds. But they'd face it together, always together, because some risks were worth taking, some choices were worth making, some love was worth fighting for, and theirs was all three. 1 year later, Amara stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her wedding hanbok, a gorgeous fusion of traditional Korean and modern American styles, custom-made in deep burgundy silk. Through the window of the bridal suite, she could see the garden where the ceremony would take place, traditional Korean elements mixed with contemporary touches, two families, two cultures coming together. There was a knock. Jaewon's grandmother entered carrying a small jewelry box. "Something borrowed," she said, opening it to reveal delicate jade earrings. "These were my mother's, then mine, now yours." "Halmione, I can't." "You can. You will." The old woman's eyes were soft. "You've given my grandson something I thought he'd never find. Real love, true partnership. You've made him whole. This is my way of saying thank you." Amara's eyes filled with tears as the grandmother helped her put on the earrings. "Welcome to the family, Amaraya, officially." The ceremony was beautiful. East met West in every detail. Amara's mother cried through the entire thing. Jaewon looked devastating in his traditional hanbok, and when he saw her walking toward him, his expression made everything, every risk, every fear, every moment of doubt, completely worth it. They spoke their vows in English and Korean, promised to honor both their histories while building their future, committed to love through complexity and danger, and whatever came next. When Jaewon kissed her, sealing their marriage, Chicago's sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Later, at the reception, dancing in her husband's arms, Amara thought about the journey that had brought them here. A chance encounter in a restaurant, an arranged marriage setup, a gallery shooting, a choice to stay when logic said run. "What are you thinking?" Jaewon murmured against her ear. "That I made the right choice." "Which choice?" "All of them. Every single one that led me to you." He pulled back to look at her, eyes blazing with love and possession and promise. "You changed my life, Amara Kang. You changed mine too, for the better." They swayed together as music filled the air, surrounded by family and friends, building the first chapter of their forever. And somewhere in the city they both loved, Chicago kept moving, kept changing, kept offering chances for people brave enough to take them, just like they had, just like they would, always together.